The Afghan Women of Brattleboro is a 6-part podcast series by Two Daughters Productions, produced with support from Vermont Public's Made Here Fund. Learn more at vermontpublic.org/madeherefund.
Previously on the Afghan Women of Brattleboro.
Before the Taliban, the life was good for me, for my family, because I had a good job with a good income. Once the Taliban came, everything got destroyed.
I was thinking about all the achievements that I did, all the knowledge that I had, how many challenges that I overcome. Everything was going one by one.
When these all things happened for you suddenly, you are not ready to accept all these changes.
I came here, Brattleboro, in January 2022.
It was in winter, and it was really hard, but day by day everything changed.
I'm Jennifer Sutton.
And I'm Melissa Pine. In our last episode, we met young women who were in school and starting their careers when they had to flee Afghanistan to evade the Taliban. They arrived in Vermont heartbroken and exhausted, with their dreams on hold. They had to figure out how to get back on track.
But other Afghan women who landed in Brattleboro at the same time are a generation older. They are mothers and grandmothers who were taking care of their families at home. They had good jobs in Afghanistan and nice homes. They had to start over too. This is episode 4, Like a Stone.
My name is Muhammadi, and I am from Afghanistan. I am a mama. I have 3 kids, and I was midwife in my country. I am 42 years old.
My name is Kamala, and I was born in Herat, Afghanistan. And I was raised in Mazar-e-Sharif, one of the biggest cities in Afghanistan.
We heard from Kamala in our first episode. She came to Brattleboro with her husband and 18-year-old son. She cooks Afghan food and sells it at farmers markets and other community events, but that's only one of her jobs. She also works in 2 local factories, second shift and third shift.
When you come to a different country, everything is new. Everyone can understand that. If you don't have any job or career and you just stay home, it will be boring. It's good to have something to do.
Staying busy with work helps Kamala keep her mind off what she left behind. Mohammadi stays busy too. Her day begins before dawn when she wakes up to pray.
Maybe 3:30 or 4 or 4:30, I wake for pray and back to bed. 6 or 5:50 and wake up and make ready for the children the breakfast and lunch. 6:30 I leave for work.
This was when Mohammadi was working at a Brattleboro nursing home as an LNA, a licensed nursing assistant. Even though she'd been a midwife in Afghanistan, she had to take an entry-level job when she got to Brattleboro. We should note that Mohammadi is choosing to use her last name only.
We starting from zero. Different culture, different people, different country, the jobs, and support the kids and support my husband.
Mohammadi's husband is still in Afghanistan, along with her mother and some of her siblings. Kamala has adult children and grandchildren there too, and other relatives. The 2 women carry responsibility for their families back home, not just their families who are with them in Brattleboro. But Mohammadi and Kamala are tough. This is hardly the first time they have faced adversity. They grew up in the 1970s, 80s, and 90s, a time of government coups, foreign invasions, and guerrilla fighting across Afghanistan. Mohammadi remembers the first time the Taliban came to power in the 1990s.
When I was a small girl, the first time the Taliban is to come in Afghanistan, they didn't want the girls go to in school and just stop when they fighting and they came in the city and all the school is close, and we stay at home for 1 year, for 6 months, sometimes more than 1 year. In 2002, when the U.S. people coming in Afghanistan and the Taliban is to go away. After that, I start my school.
Kamala, who's older than Mohammadi, was a girl when the Soviet Union invaded Afghanistan in 1979. The chaos and war that followed made everyday life dangerous.
I recall one time, a bomb was thrown at our school. My sister lost consciousness. They transported her to the hospital in an ambulance. I couldn't continue my education because of the war. I studied until the 6th grade and got married at the age of 14.
This was the late 1970s, when it wasn't unusual for girls to get married and have children at a very young age. Kamala came from a large, well-off family. Her grandfather was a judge. After she got married, she moved in with her husband's family while he was finishing his college engineering degree. She had 5 children by the time she was in her early 30s.
Mohammadi got married at 16 when she was in 9th grade and had her first child at 18. But her mother insisted she keep going with her education. Mohammadi's father had died when she was a child, and her mother took care of the family alone. Neither parent could read or write. So even though Mohammadi's new father-in-law wanted her to leave school and stay home, Mohammadi's mother didn't back down.
My mom said, do you want my daughter live with your son or not? I don't want she stop her school. I can support my daughter and she wants to go to school.
Mohammadi's mother helped take care of the baby so Mohammadi could finish high school. Then Mohammadi took the Kabul University entrance exam, despite her father-in-law's disapproval. He gave her an ultimatum. If she didn't do well on the test, she'd have to give up the idea of college. Mohammadi aced the exam and was placed in the university's computer science department, which was considered a real accomplishment. But she didn't love the classes. After a semester, she transferred into a nursing and midwifery program. 3 years later, she graduated as a midwife.
Until now, my mom is fighting and working hard for me. I go to school, and after this, yes, I am independent. She say for me, you decide what you do, or you stay home, or you can continue like take a job, because in my country it's very hard. The women to go to work, working with men.
That was the case even before the Taliban took over the country. But Mohammadi persevered.
And I find a job in a hospital as a midwife. And some of my friends ask me, the police is need a lot of like nurse or midwife or doctor. I take a training in the police and I pass their exam. And as I think I working for 3 years in the police as a nurse, not go to the fighting, just in the hospital.
Mohammadi eventually went from the police to the Afghan military. She was still a nurse, but she also became an officer. For 10 years in a military hospital, she treated Afghan soldiers and Taliban fighters.
When I working in the hospital, not just the government soldiers come in the hospital, and the Taliban, when they fighting and they become injury and the government catch them, they bring them in the hospital.
In between her shifts at the military hospital, Mohammadi worked in a health clinic for women. She saw herself filling a great need there. Even though Afghanistan was a democratic country at the time, conservative families didn't want their female relatives to be seen by male doctors.
I working as a midwife and helping the women and delivery the baby and everything, because my country is Muslim country, and the men, their husbands didn't want the doctor men touch their wife. And they need us. And they died. A lot of women died. No, we don't want to go to the hospital because all the doctor is men, and it's better you died in home. And I'm working very hard.
Meanwhile, Kamala was working as a manager and trainer at a company that made school uniforms and women's clothing. Years earlier, as a teenager and young mother, she started building the skills that her family would come to depend on.
I learned sewing from my friend's mother, who was a seamstress, and I learned cosmetology from my friend's sister, who was a makeup artist. Every time she did makeup for a bride, I watched. I loved to learn and have knowledge about everything.
In the 1980s, life became more difficult in Kabul because of the fighting between the Soviets and the Afghan resistance. Kamala and her family moved to Pakistan in search of safety, like millions of other Afghans. But Pakistan wasn't a welcoming place for immigrants, and Kamala's husband couldn't find work. By this time, Kamala was a skilled seamstress, and she and her husband were able to open a small fabric and tailoring shop. They returned to Afghanistan a decade later. Kamala found work at a clothing manufacturing company and eventually began training female employees. But the work wasn't just about making clothes. It was about creating possibilities for other women.
Certainly, when you teach someone else the skill you have learned, it gives you a great sense of satisfaction. It assures you that someone is carrying on the work in your absence, whether it's sewing, cooking, cosmetology, or any other field.
Afghanistan's 20 years of democracy made room for Kamala and Mohammadi to work outside their homes. But even then, the Taliban was a violent presence. Bombs went off in the streets. Kamala and her family thought about leaving the country. Mohammadi felt threatened too, for two reasons. She was a woman working, and she was a military nurse.
After 2019 in Afghanistan, is every day is worse and worse and worse. And our life is not safe. When we, in the morning, when we want to go to job, we say maybe in afternoon we come back or not. When I go to the job and I change sometimes 5 car, 4 car, 3 car every day because someone is follow us.
When the Taliban took over Afghanistan in 2021, Mohammadi knew she had to leave. She escaped with her 3 kids, a brother, and a brother-in-law. Her husband didn't have the documents he needed to travel, but he understood that Mohammadi's life was in danger.
And my husband said, you go. You have to go. Maybe I am coming.
The success that Mohammadi and Kamala built at home, it disappeared. When they got to Brattleboro, they were back at square one. The staff and volunteers at ECDC, the refugee resettlement agency in town, were eager to help them settle in. But the transition was rocky. Kamala sometimes felt misunderstood.
People in Vermont and Brattleboro have a different understanding of the Afghan people who are here. They think we didn't have anything good in Afghanistan, that our country was only a poor country in a war. But this is not true. We had a lot of progress when there was democracy. For those 20 years, we had everything. Many of us who are here in Brattleboro, we had a good life in Afghanistan.
For Kamala, starting over in Brattleboro meant adapting to a different lifestyle than the one she had in Afghanistan.
Personally, I have always been a fan of luxurious living and a luxurious home. But I have had to compromise. When ECDC searched for an apartment for me and we visited one, I had to get a different perspective. I appreciated the help and effort that ECDC provided with the house. It's important to be grateful for the kindness of others. But when I arrived at the house and saw an old table and mismatched furniture, I felt emotional and I cried. At home, I used to make new cushions and curtains every 6 or 7 months.
For Mohammadi, starting over meant learning English as fast as she could. Her goal was to get a job in healthcare. But her years of medical experience in Afghanistan, all the babies she delivered, all the soldiers she treated, all the women she cared for, it didn't count in the U.S. job market.
That was very hard for me when someone tell me it's not possible you become a midwife. We know you have a degree from Afghanistan as a midwife, but not in here. And you have to study and take class and pass exam.
That's what she did. She relearned medical vocabulary in a new language and eventually got licensed as a nursing assistant. She worked the overnight shift in a nursing home, then got another position in a different nursing home where she could work days and be home with her kids in the evening. These jobs were very different from what she had done in Afghanistan.
A little hard because before I never working with old people. We do everything, like shower, toilet, feeding, dressing, walking, wheelchair, everything. And sometimes they not understand me when I'm talking, and sometimes they talking I didn't understand. Most time I ask the Google Translate.
Like all the Afghan women in Brattleboro, Mohammadi and Kamala have been taking so many steps to adapt to a new way of life. But they are split. So much of them is still in Afghanistan.
Mohammadi talks to her husband every day or every few days if the internet connection is okay. She wants her 3 children to stay bonded with their father. The kids are 19, 9, and 6, and the younger ones don't really understand why he's still in Afghanistan.
One of them asked, "Why you not coming?" And he said, "You come, I cannot come, and you come here." They say, "Oh, no, never we come because the Taliban shot us, and you come." I want to be a father and mother, because their father is not in here. I want to be both of them.
Mohammadi wires money to her husband whenever she can, just so he can survive. One time he needed $800 to pay for a new passport. She also sends money to her mother, who's about 80 years old.
Kamala and her husband send money home too, to their children and grandchildren, to Kamala's sister, about $500 every month. In the fall of 2023, there were several earthquakes in Herat, the city where Kamala's older son lives, and she sent money so he could hand it out to people in the hospital. That's on top of her own expenses: rent, groceries, gas and insurance for the car, supplies for her food business. Working 3 jobs is exhausting for Kamala, but her family is counting on her.
If I'm not busy, it's very difficult to spend my days. I should be busy. I only need 4 hours of sleep at night.
The reason Kamala works so hard is because after the Taliban took over Afghanistan, there was economic chaos and it became hard, if not impossible, to get a job. Under Taliban rule, Kamala's daughters cannot work outside the home, and it's dangerous for anyone who has connections to the West or to the former Afghan government.
In Mohammadi's case, the Taliban were looking for her long after she fled the country, so her husband can't stay in their home. He moves around from place to place.
2 times came and they check all my house and put a yellow sign in my door. It means like we have the red line like traffic and yellow and green. In the yellow it means we observe this place and they will come back.
Mohammadi wants to protect her husband, but she also has to deal with her family's immediate needs, making sure her kids are okay here in Vermont. Her older daughter is a senior at Brattleboro Union High School. She's been thinking she wants to become a nurse like her mother. The younger 2 kids are in elementary school. After school and during the summer, they play soccer and take piano lessons, go to art camp.
I don't want them to be sad. So I make them busy. If they stay at home and they just watch TV, anxiety. And it's not good they stay at home, and it's good to be outside and see different people and different activity. That's good for their psychologists. Their psychologists, yeah.
After working in 2 nursing homes, Mohammadi got a job as a phlebotomist, drawing blood in a hospital lab. She's taking multiple English classes that will help her continue her nursing education. She wants to enroll in Community College of Vermont's LPN program, Licensed Practical Nursing. That would put her one step closer to becoming a midwife again.
I love be as a healthcare person, because I love midwife, because I work 10 years. I working with a woman because they need me.
Mohammadi is thinking about her kids' futures too.
My wish, I don't know, maybe they change. They become one of a doctor, one of pilot, and the one of engineer. And I try as hard as I can, as possible, and they have knowledge as higher.
We interviewed Mohammadi twice and Kamala once. When we asked Kamala if she would sit down with us a second time, she said she was too busy, too tired. The stress of 3 jobs and supporting multiple households takes a toll. But Kamala says she likes Brattleboro and plans to stay, at least for the near future, because of the kind people, she says. Mohammadi wants to stay too.
We have job and we are relaxed and it's comfort. That's life. Yes, I know before that I live in a big city. More than 7 million people live in Kabul. And now, just our life. I can work and I can support my kids. My opinion, and most people ask me because I was the first refugee, how is I say it's good. If you want to take a job, a good job, and you continue your education, it's okay. If you want to go to the fancy or the beautiful big city, I don't know your idea. As my idea is I stay in Brattleboro.
Back in episode 2, we heard Ziagul, who was a journalist in Afghanistan, describe Afghan women as the strongest in the world. Kamala and Mohammadi have no choice. They have to be strong. They dream of bringing their families to the U.S., and they work hard to save money so that can happen. But the reality is that it's probably not going to happen anytime soon. It may not happen for years.
That's not easy. And sometimes we thought maybe we are like a stone. We are very hard and just put away. Every my problem put away. And what should I do? And just I wait, and I wait.
In the next episode of the Afghan Women of Brattleboro, we'll meet Hasina, Malika, and Selma, who are in their 20s and 30s. They come from traditional families, and they either went to school for a few years or not at all. They've never worked outside the home and maybe never will. In Brattleboro, they focus on the same things they did in Afghanistan: raising their children, practicing their faith, and preserving their culture. But they've done a few things here they never would have done at home.
When I came to United States, I had 2 wishes. One was learning English, the other was getting a driver's license. I never thought about that before. These were impossible things for me, but they happened. I never worked so hard. I'm proud of these 2 things.
The Afghan Women of Brattleboro is made by Two Daughters Productions, with financial support from Vermont Public's Made Here Fund, Vermont Humanities, the Windham Foundation, and the Arts Council of Windham County.
Thank you so much to all the Afghan women who spent time talking with us. Our producing partner, translator, and all-around advisor is Nagina Azimi. Zia Gul Azimi helped launch the project and did the initial interpretation.
Our voiceover actors are Drukshan Farad, Monishka Bidar, and Behishta Nikufar. Mastering by Dave Snyder.
Thanks to Vermont Public for sharing their studio space in downtown Brattleboro. And special thanks to Jenny Schmidt for providing editorial advice.
To learn more about this story and the other stories in this series, visit AfghanWomenofBrattleboro.org. I'm Jennifer Sutton.
And I'm Alyssa Pine. Thanks for listening.